Mưa vẫn mưa bay trên tầng tháp cổ, dài tay em mãi thua mắt xanh xao, nghe lá thu mưa reo mòn gót giò, đường dài hun hút cho mắt thêm sâu. Mưa vẫn hay mưa trên hàng lá nhỏ, buổi chiều ngồi ngắm những chuyến mưa qua, trên bước chân em ngâm thầm lá đổ, chợt hôn say buốt cho mình xót xa. Chiều nay còn mưa sao em khám lại, nhớ mãi trong cơn đau vui, làm sao có nhau hàn lên nỗi đau, bước chân em xin về mau. Mưa vẫn hay mưa cho đời biến động, làm sao em nhớ những vết chim gì. Xin hãy cho mưa qua miền đất giàu, tình người phiêu lãng quê mình lãng du. Chiều nay còn mưa sao em ngắm lại, nhớ mãi trong cơn đau vui, làm sao có nhau hàn lên nỗi đau, bước chân em xin về mau. Mưa vẫn hay mưa cho đời biến động, làm sao em biết bia đã không đau. Xin hãy cho mưa qua miền đất giàu, tại sao sỏi đá cũng cần có nhau. Xin hãy cho mưa qua miền đất giàu, ngày sao sỏi đá cũng cần có nhau.
Thank you very much. That was a lovely performance. It was a beautiful performance and a beautiful song written by Trịnh, who is an artist known by virtually everyone here in Vietnam. And it's my honor today to introduce the performer, Mr. Richard Fuller, who is an amateur singer, a translator, and also a very close friend of the renowned Vietnamese musician. Thank you for joining us today.
I'm very, very honored to be here.
You did a wonderful performance, I must say.
I wasn't a close friend of Trịnh,
but a friend nonetheless, yes?
A friend, yeah.
A friend nonetheless.
He had many friends.
He was a very popular man, he was.
Yeah.
Now, that rendition you just did of Zim Sua, it was very, very emotional, and I could see it in your face. What kind of connection do you have with that song?
It was the first Vietnamese song that I ever tried to learn. There is no one particular person involved. except that I was able to meet Trịnh because of it. In Dalat, some students took me to his house, and so being able to talk about it with him, and it made it very, very special.
So there was this personal connection with the actual lyricist and the writer of the song,
With him,
which
yeah.
makes it a personal connection for you. Now, how many songs by Trịnh Công Sơn can you sing?
Maybe a dozen.
A dozen songs. Now, out of Trịnh Công Sön's songs, which one really won your heart?
It would have to be Người Con Gái Việt Nam Nhà Vàng.
And can you explain a little bit
Girl with
why?
golden skin. It was the first of the peace songs, the Ca Khúc Nhà Vàng, that I learned, and the imagery of it. At first I heard it because of Can Ly, her role, because when I heard her singing both the love songs and the other songs, it was the sound that affected me first before I even knew what they were about. And then when I asked people about them and found out what Người Con Gái Việt Nam was about, there's something about it, and I feel that's the best translation I did. It was one of the early ones, and I think I got it.
So are you're saying that the connection it has with you is the fact that you translated from Vietnamese into English.
Right.
And through the lyrics, what kind of emotions did it bring out in you?
Well, I already had them from the Vietnamese lyrics, but it was the effect on English speakers, hearing it in English, and their reactions to it. And that one, I would say, maybe conveys up to 70%. Perhaps. You can never really translate poetry.
Right.
But the images and the emotions are what I wanted to get and still keep the rhythm
And maintain.
and the essence of what he did and the way he did it.
You have met Trịnh Công Sơn before, and you actually have a special name for him. You just don't call him Trịnh Công Sơn, do you? Or you didn't?
Well, I referred to him as Anh Sơn,
Anh
because he's an
Sơn, which
older
is a
brother,
very personal.
but-
It's a personal.
Well, we
kind of
we worked on
calling.
the songs. I sang them for him in English, and he performed some. I have some pictures that somebody took when we were together working on these. It was in 1993. We worked on them again in an attempt to end the embargo.
Right.
The songs never got out, but thank God the embargo
The embargo
ended.
was lifted. Now, can you tell us your most memorable moment with the famous composer?
It was a Sunday night, somewhere here in the city. I'm not sure where it was. It might have been behind what is now Diamond Plaza. There's a place that
Diamond
looks
Plaza.
like it. And we were sitting together, and it was a night for him, for his music. And he asked me to go up and do a couple of his songs.
Oh, wow.
I was scared to death. One of them was Người Con Gái Việt Nam Nhà Vàng. I can't remember what the other one was. But
We were shaken at that moment.
oh
The
yeah, I didn't
nerves
know
were
he was
really
going to do that. We were
getting
just sitting there, and there were other singers,
How
and he
big
said,
was
"You
the
go up
crowd?
and do it." Oh, you know, it'd be a couple hundred people,
A couple
maybe.
hundred people. Richard is actually one of the few Americans out there, or anyone out there, who is recognized as a translator of Trịnh Công Sön's lyrics and songs. So let's take a look at how that process goes.
Late composer Trịnh Công Sơn is a legend in Vietnam's musical community. In his 62 years, he composed more than 600 songs, mainly about love, Lot, and his homeland. Not until after being honored with the World for Peace Music Award in 2003 was Trịnh Công Sơn internationally recognized for his immortal anti-war ballads and beautiful lyrics. Richard Fuller is one of many people around the world whose hearts have been conquered by Trịnh Công Sön's songs. Richard loves the melodies and poetic words in each song by Trịnh Công Sơn. After listening Diễm Xưa in Dalat City 36 years ago, Richard immediately fell in love with it. He found more songs to listen to, learned the language to understand them, translate them, and share them with his fellow countrymen in the U.S. Through the songs, Richard understands the soul of Vietnamese people and is ready to support Vietnam in any circumstances. At the age of nearly 60, Richard remains reluctant to pursue a comfortable life in the U.S. to live in Vietnam and continue singing the songs with his Vietnamese friends.
So Richard, what was the first song that you translated into English?
Girl of Vietnam with Golden Skin, Người con gái Vietnam. Yeah,
that was the first one that you translated.
Was the first one.
And you know, that being the first one, how was the difficulty in it? What kind of process did you go through to translate? That is true.
They're like soup. You put the ingredients in, but you're constantly tweaking it. You find better words, better phrases, clearing up mistakes. People point out things that that didn't mean that. It really meant something else. And over time, it cooks and comes out the way they have. Oh, well, actually, it was just missing an accent. The one interpretation in Người con gái Việt Nam nhà bạn, yêu quê hương như đã yêu mình. Could mean, I originally translated that as you love home as you love me, thinking Lin was Trịnh Công Sơn. Everyone I knew said, no, it's not that at all. Then I said, oh, well then you love home as you love yourself. I said, yeah, but of course that doesn't work. So in the end, we decided for you love home as you love your womanhood. I never had a chance to ask Trịnh Công Sơn whether he intended it that way, but if people interpreted it that way, I decided that since everybody seemed to agree, we'll leave it. So these were some of the issues at that time.
So the version that you have currently, how do you feel about the accuracy and the
I feel good about the 7 that I translated. I feel good about them, even though 2 were only 2 years old. They're still fresh, but I feel like they're setting pretty firm now.
So you say that you just mentioned 7. You have 7 songs that you've translated total. And what are those songs? You have Cô gái Việt Nam.
Yeah, there's that one. Tình ca của người mất trí, the love song of a deranged woman. Đại bác ru đêm, the lullaby of the artillery. Đi tìm quê hương, which is, I can't remember what I called it because I don't sing it anymore.
Tìm quê hương sounds like looking for your homeland.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's on there somewhere. Because I almost never perform it. Then, let's see, that's 4. 5 is Ya Tai Của Mẹ, A Mother's Heritage. And then the 2 new ones were the Ca Yao Mẹ, what do we decide to call that? A Mother's Lament. Mother's Lament.
A Mother's Lament.
And the last one was Noi Vom Tai Lung, The Great Circle of Vietnam, which we'll hear at the end of the show.
We'll hear that at the end of the show. Now, at the moment, you must have a very good command of Vietnamese in order to, you know, take these lyrics and translate them into English, as well as communicate with those who could possibly help you in the process. Is that right?
Fortunately, in 71 and 72, for the earlier 5, there were Vietnamese in the States who spoke English. They disagreed with each other over the meaning. So the difficulty there was finding a level of meaning that everybody might agree to. Trịnh Công Sơn was still alive then, and unfortunately long-distance phone calls were extremely expensive to try to call back and forth.
Because they weren't as easy back then, yeah.
Where anybody asked Trịnh Công Sơn about the meanings of the songs, Trịnh Công Sơn said it's like art. It means to you what it means.
You interpret it how you like.
You have to, yeah. So I feel that he gave us that, but at the same time, I try to get into the background of every song, every incident, whatever they're singing about, to try to understand not just what the words are saying from the dictionary, but what's behind it as best as a foreigner can do without being Vietnamese.
That's right.
And presenting that, and then Vietnamese people would agree that this is as close as it's going to get.
Right.
That's why I say it can't be more than 60 or 70%. You just can't. There's so many things that are culturally bound. Yiem Sua, I never translated, and I won't even try. It's too cultural. It's too, you have to know that situation.
It's very specific.
Scenes can be done, but they won't evoke that kind of emotion in other people, I don't think.
You chose to translate the Khúc Gia Vàng, which is the yellow-skin songs.
Right.
You translated those into English. Can you just kind of briefly explain to us why you specifically chose those songs?
Yeah, that's what interested me about Trịnh Công Sơn was when he died. I didn't get to see him in 2001. I missed him by 2 hours. I didn't know about it.
Really?
But I quickly went out and we had a wreath made, and the only thing I could think of was that he was the window for me into the heart of Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
It was through his his portrayal of what was happening to people and to the country at that time. I mean, we could see it. I mean, we were living here, anybody who lived here. And that's why the Kak Hoop Yavang, I wanted to take them home, get them into English, so that Americans, especially Americans at that time, could hear them and feel more sympathetic with the Vietnamese people, and therefore put pressure on to end the war.
At any time, did you get a chance to sing your songs that you translated in English for Trịnh Công Sơn, the composer?
For him, yeah.
You
in
did?
1993.
And what was
we had
that?
a week together.
What was
in
his
the evenings.
response?
The pictures are, I think somebody took pictures of the picture. You can see his face, the way he's
Smoking his cigarette.
always with his cigarette. But he definitely, it wasn't just a polite thing, because he invited me back, and then there were other people who said, yeah, you got to hear this. And then I went to a studio and made a tape for him, dedicated it, and I think it's upstairs in his studio now. I think I saw it, but they say it's damaged, that it won't play.
So you mentioned that you did return in 2001. You returned to Vietnam in 2001, but unfortunately you missed Trịnh Công Sơn before he passed away by about 2 hours. Can you kind of elaborate more on that experience, that event?
Right. When I was here during the war, it was with a group called Chiến Nguy Quốc tế, or International Voluntary Services. IVS was the acronym. And another IVSer had not been back to Vietnam since 70, I think he left 72. His contract ended, and he wanted to come back, so he flew out to Thailand, and I brought him over to Saigon. On the day I went to see Trịnh Công Sơn, it was a Sunday, so I told Bill, you might as well stay in the hotel. There's no use to go out. It's not anybody you know. It's all in Vietnamese. You won't enjoy it. So I found a we went by Ciclo, a Ciclo driver who knew where it was. And we parked the Ciclo outside, walked down the lane, and there were all these people. I said, wow, look at this. He's still having parties, you know, just like before.
Yeah.
So I was really happy. I went in and went inside the gate and turned to the first person I saw and said, is An Chung upstairs? And the guy turned to me and said, oh, no, you can't go. They haven't washed the body yet. That was a shock. When? I said, oh, around 12:30. And it was about 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Oh, it's 2 hours.
So I realized I'd never get to see him again.
Oh,
we couldn't talk about, then it would have been 93, 2001, 8 years.
8 years.
It must have been a dream, I said, but know what I had heard.
Richard often warms up his English class by singing Trịnh Công Sơn songs in English with them. With patience and care, he teaches them how to pronounce each word and how to sing the songs. He wants to do some jobs at the same time, teaching students English and sharing with him the love for Trịnh Công Sơn songs. After teaching English in Ho Chi Minh City for nearly 10 years, he has had many students who can sing the songs in English with apparent ease.
Thầy cần mang những cái bài hát rồi những cái vào trong cái bài học để dạy cho bọn em thì bọn em sẽ nói tốt hơn.
Nhiều khi học cũng căng thẳng nhưng mà được học hát về tiếng Anh thì em cảm thấy vui, hay. Thầy hát rất là hay, cái giọng của thầy truyền cảm thôi, em thích thầy hát đó.
After an hour learning, the class ends with another song. Richard says he will further the work of translating Trịnh Công Sơn songs and teaching more students for the rest of his life.
And
like that, you'll be able to improve pronunciation.
Translating songs into English, it's actually a very good way to encourage people to learn how to speak English. I mean, it's more of a fun way of doing it. And, you know, will you be, I'm just wondering if you're going to continue translating these difficult songs that Trịnh Công Sơn has into English to kind of encourage that type of that training and education.
Actually, I hadn't thought of it for education, translating new ones.
Mm-hmm.
The ones I'd like to do because of the philosophy he has, which to me is a cross between Buddhism and nihilism, are songs like Cat Bui and Mo Koi Đi Về, those two. And because of its intensity and beauty, Bien Nhớ, which I haven't really finished in Vietnamese yet. I'm going to try it later.
Working on it, though.
But yeah, because of the way it's composed and the images, what he does with it, it's a tour de force. It's an incredible piece about, you know, everybody misses their girlfriend going away, but geez, the way he puts it, you know, the mountains, the sea, the sand,
the whole world
going to miss
stops.
you. Yeah. You know, and it's the, just the, again, the imagery of it. I'd like to go out to Queen Young, where it was written, and jokingly, I was interviewed by Thanh Niệm earlier, and I half-jokingly said, I want to find that mountain that's leaning, you know, Đồi núi nghiêng đồi chợ. And I wondered, is there a leaning mountain? There is one near Da Nang, I remember. So maybe there's some in Queen Young.
Now, after all this experience and all these things that you've done with Trịnh Công Sơn songs, are you going to kind of compile it onto a CD? Do you plan on doing anything of that sort?
It's just an idea. There is a place on my website where I recorded them at home, 3 of them. And the website, I think, will be shown in the subtitles for this. On there are the lyrics in both languages for 3 of them, and the 3 of the songs themselves that you can download and then hear them in English. So that's where it's at now, and I'm hoping somebody somewhere will hear them and say, yeah, let's do something with that.
Let's do something with this.
So that's where it's at now.
Well, it seems like you're still working on a lot, so does it look like you'll be staying in Vietnam for much longer?
I'd like to. I'd like to stay the rest of my life if they would let me.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That wonderful family
and keep
here.
on working. Keep on working on what you're doing. Well, it would be an absolute shame if we were not to have you perform again for us before the show ends. So before I let Richard say goodbye for us here at Talk Vietnam, if you're more interested in his website, it's www.cycling-vietnam.com/songs.html. You can go to that website, check out his lyrics and his songs and the translated words. So, well, Richard, I think we're going to have you take us out with another one of your songs. And if you'd like to introduce your accompanist, who you have helping you out with the guitar and harmonica, please go ahead and do so.
Thank you. I'd absolutely love it. Be honored. I'd like to introduce my friend and accompanist, Mr. Tavin, who does the most, to me, the most beautiful renditions, instrumental renditions of Trịnh Công Sơn songs. And so I've asked him to play.
Biển nhớ tên em gọi về, chiều sương ướt đẫm cơn mây, trời cao níu bước sân khê. Ngày mai em đi, cồn đá reo thăm rừng mưa, bên phố nghe mưa ngày mưa tháng nắng còn buồn, bàn tay nghe ngóng tin sang. Ngày mai em đi thành phố mà đêm đèn vàng, bóng qua ngập ngừng, nghe trời gió mà thương. Ngày mai em đi thành phố mà đêm đèn vàng, như bóng xuân qua ngập ngừng, nghe trời gió lòng mà thương.
I'd like to introduce a song that was a vision that Trịnh Công Sơn had back in the 1960s when the war was raging, called The Great Circle of Vietnam. And 2 years ago, with the help of a number of people, I was able to translate it. So I'd like to do it first in English, and then we'll do it together in Vietnamese. The Great Circle of Vietnam. From jungled hills to the distant sea, we form a giant circle to unite our country. From far and wide we now return, with joy like a sandstorm to the far horizons. Let's now join hands, a great circle of Vietnam. Flags in the wind, happy nights and days, of one blood our hearts ablaze, reconciled a new day. Hamlet town now joined as one, remember the dead as we bask in the sun, and one by one we spread our smile. From north to south we all join hands, from fields long abandoned to mountainous lands. We'll ford deep streams, climb over hills, from hamlets to the cities we embrace with glee. An eternal circle, dead and living, one are we. Rừng núi giăng tai nối lại biển xa, ta đi bồng ta lớn mãi để nối sơn hà. Mặt đất bao la anh em ta về, gặp nhau mừng như bão cát quay cuồng trời rộng. Bàn tay ta nắm nối tròn màu vòng Việt Nam. Cười nối gió đêm vui nối ngày đầu máu đồng hoài, tình người trong ngày mới. Thành phố nối thôn xa vời vời, người chết nối linh thiêng vào đời, và nụ cười nối trên môi. Từ Bắc vô Nam nối liền nắm tay, ta đi từ đầm hoang vu vượt hết núi đồi. Vượt thác treo leo tay ta vượt đèo, từ quê nghèo lên phố lớn nắm tay nối liền. Biển xanh sông ngắm nối liền một vòng từ sinh. Biển xanh sông ngắm nối liền một vòng từ sinh. Biển xanh sông ngắm nối liền một vòng từ sinh. Thank you very, very much. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you all for coming, for being part of this. I wish that An Sheng could be with us to see that his memory is still with us all. And as long as we sing his songs,